It's week 2 of Radical Red Championships, and frankly, I'm quite excited. Now, last week we saw some good, some bad, and some questionable teams, and we even got to see how well I would do in an Ubers battle. Not very. And as a result of my failures and the failures of my teammates as well, I guess, we were knocked into the losers bracket for week 2 along with the counter-teamer's team. Going into this, I was initially worried about TCT being my opponent this week, but knowing the struggle they had in the last week due to half their players being drafted last minute, I was a bit more confident about our win, but still wary. After all, if we lost now, not only would we be out of the tournament for good, but I would look like a fool on YouTube, and all my subscribers would leave. It would be a sad day indeed. So with that in mind, will the Infestation Nation persist past this precarious predicament, or perish painfully to powerful Paragon players? As well, can Michael's team keep their streak in team power, or will they fall to Trico-ness? I don't know, I wrote this part of the script at midnight. Well, today, we find out in week 2 of Radical Red Championships. But before we get into that, a word from our sponsor, the subscribe button. If you've been on YouTube for a little over 2 hours, you probably have seen a few before. Well, if you could click it, it would really help me out a lot, and it would give me a chance to get paid for free content, while you continue to watch free content. Not only that, but you'll also be updated whenever I upload a new video, and just who wouldn't want that? Anyway, let's get into the week 2 games.
Alright, here we are in the first battle of week 2, and by the looks of it, we've got a Rain team versus a standard Mega Kingler team. Looking at it, a good half of this team is weak to electric moves. Most of them are actually weak to the move Freeze Try. Tapu Lele could have Thunder, but I think more likely Kyurem is going to have Freeze Dry to deal with the major 4 problems. Heatran also helps against Ferrothorn and Carnivine Sevian form. Poison Steel, and it gets Levitate. Alright, getting into the match, someone of course leads with Pelipper to set up Rain, and Kyurem comes out to set up on him. Now this makes sense, as if he's able to take out Pelipper, then Swampert won't have any more Rain. When it Mega Evolves, it gets the ability Swift Swim, which doubles its speed. Kyurem and Carnivine here are just standing off one another. Kyurem hasn't used the move Roost at all, and Snap Trap is doing more than 25, so he has to switch out to Heatran by the looks of it. Someone switches to Swampert, and Heatran manages to set up Stealth Rock, so he can't just switch in and out of Pokemon. Rain's back up, and Toxapex is out right now, which just tanks attacks. But I think he's going to try and trap it. Nope, goes for Leech Seed on Heatran now. It switched out of Toxapex. Pelipper's trapped because of Manwa Storm. It deals damage over time while the Pokemon is trapped. Pelipper just Roost. And I think if it was still trapped, it could just use the move U-turn and it would get out of it. So it wasn't really... So far, Gliscor is being a bit careful with how he's dealing with someone's team. Just chipping away with the more bulky Pokemon, Toxapex and Heatran. I think not roosting with Kyurem didn't help him a whole lot. I don't know if he has Roost or not. Judging from how he acted in that opening matchup, I'm guessing not. And I guess Substitute Kyurem could work without Roost, but I think it would just be better if it did. So let's hope that he actually does have that. Swampert's out. Someone's gonna get hit hard. He predicts an Earthquake and switches in Landorus. He goes for another Earthquake, I guess predicting the Toxapex switch in. Landorus comes in, and at this point Swampert has half attack due to Intimidate. So he switches out. Plus Rain went out, so he wouldn't have been able to do anything. Losing Landorus there really doesn't help, but you can only switch back and forth before someone gets wise. Kingler actually elects to not Mega here, so he can take an Earthquake. That's pretty cool. He just switches out though. He was able to take out the Swampert though, which in Rain is just dangerous. The thing about weather teams is that weather conditions are extremely powerful. Rain, for example, is, I believe, the most powerful of them. because what it does is that it halves damage from fire attacks. So Pokemon like Ferrothorn or Carnivine, they work better in rain because they can just take fire type attacks without it being too much of a problem. What it also does is that it increases the damage of... Oh, Gliscor is just 1. Alright. But yeah, what else it does, it increases the damage of water type moves, so your resistances like Kyurem become neutral attacks and Toxapex. It makes Thunder and Hurricane hit 100% of the time, like they are not allowed to miss apparently. And Pokemon like Swampert get the ability Swift Swim, which doubles their speed. I'm sure there's other abilities related to rain, but Swift Swim is just the biggest one. Going into the second battle here, I should probably mention, once again, I'm going in order of when they happened on their side of the bracket. So there probably was like a couple matches from the other half that happened between the last battle and this one. But to keep it a bit more consistent, I'm gonna do it like this. Anyways, this is a UU battle. Looking at Ray's team, it appears to be a bit of, what's it called? Semi-stall. Yeah. He's got Latios and Zarude here to deal massive damage. The rest of them can tank attacks. Moltres is like Ho-Oh light. Which, also, quick note, Radical Red 3.1 had just released, and it came with a new ability for Ho-Oh as like a gift Pokemon. And that ability is called Phoenix Down, I think. And what it does is that whenever the Pokemon is fainted, it revives and gets half of its health back. That's probably a bit strange to put in the middle of the second battle here. I could probably put it in like intermission halfway through all this. But I just wanted to mention that because I'm the one playing Ubers on my team. I hope that doesn't come out for the Showdown server yet. Anyways, let's get into this. So, getting into this, we have Char versus Ray. They're both pretty famous players. Ray is actually a mod, and Char is just good at the game. He even got his own custom avatar from winning room tournaments. That U-turn was devastating right there. And yeah, there goes another U-turn. Latios is out. Char has switched to about 4 of their team members by now. He set up rocks, but Moltres just defogged them away. Swellow comes out. He's going to use Boom Burst. It does 42 to Melmetal switching in. That's impressive. But it's not enough to warrant Swellow staying in, so Manectric comes out to try and intimidate Melmetal, get him out of here. Manectric also uses, I believe that's, yeah, Hidden Power Ice to deal with Mudsdale. It didn't do a whole lot though. Swellow comes out, starts using Boom Burst on Mudsdale. It tries to rest or slack off the damage, but Boom Burst is doing more than half, so over enough time, he's going to be chipped down. I believe, yeah, that kills if Melmetal stays in. He does, and it's out of here. Frisk tells us it has Choice Scarf, meaning it just used Power Whip, and it was trapped in that, so that's good. And there goes Moltres. Audino takes more than half from that Boom Burst. They use Wish, which does allow it to heal half of their health back, so it's just stalling Boom Burst now. There's only 8 left on Swellow. So hopefully he gets it. Nope, he just switches out. Zarude comes out, uses Knockoff. It's just barely not enough to kill, and Swellow takes it out with another Boom Burst. And yeah, that's the end of the battle. Ray forfeits since he can't really do anything now to 6 Pokemon. Swellow's a really good Pokemon in UU, as it gets the ability Aerolate, which boosts damage of, well, it turns normal type moves into flying type moves, and then it boosts the damage of those moves. So yeah, using a Specs set like he was here makes him a pretty effective special attacker, since most Pokemon in the metagame actually don't resist flying, I believe. Like, there's Melmetal, and that's all the Pokemon I know off the top of my head. There's also Swellow, I guess, and Manectric, apparently. Third battle, it's OU, and by the looks of it, we've got, I think that's Mega Scizor and Mega Charizard. I don't know which one, probably Charizard X, since it is pretty good. We've got Michael versus Toby. Michael's another mod. I think he's actually one of the council members. I think Ray also was a council member. It doesn't matter though. Toby here is one of my friends. He's on Team Trico, I believe. Zapdos lead on Clefable. Actually not really good for it, so it switches out to Tapu Fini. Clefable gets a crit, Light of Ruin. In Standard, only a small Pokemon, I don't remember its name, gets that move. And what it's supposed to do is deal recoil, but since Clefable gets it in Radical Red, and it has the ability Magic Guard, it can use the move without any recoil. Anyways, Dragapult just took out Corviknight with little problem, with another crit attack, so that's good. Clefable comes in, uses Flamethrower, but Ferrothorn knows it. I think no, he's not going to switch out. Ferrothorn just tanks that. I don't know if that was a good choice, because he's probably going to need Ferrothorn for Seismitoad, Greninja, and Rillaboom. Like, all these Pokemon are just walled by Ferrothorn, I'm pretty sure. Maybe not Greninja, but the physical attackers, yeah. Actually, looking at it, this isn't a physical attacker at all, is it? No, he goes for Skull. This is a wall. It's supposed to set up Stealth Rocks and deal status effects. Greninja comes out, uses Dark Pulse on Seismitoad. He switches to Rillaboom, and yeah, that just sucks. Does he get paralyzed? No, he has pressure. Okay. Looking at it, the battle seems pretty close, but it looks like Michael may win out, because with Zapdos gone, he doesn't really have a way to deal with Scizor. Charizard comes out, he uses, what is that, Dragon Dance? He uses Dragon Dance, and Charizard X, by the looks of it, is extremely powerful. He uses Fire Lash here. Fire Lash lowers the defensive Pokemon after its attack, so that 40 attack is now going to do more than 40, taking it out. Scizor switches in, goes for Bullet Punch, it doesn't do a whole lot. Charizard goes for Fire Lash here, and that actually was a mistake. I was talking about this, well, I wasn't talking about it, the players, especially Toby here, were talking about it, and that there was their biggest mistake. He had Roost on this Charizard X, but he didn't go for it. Instead, he went for Fire Lash to take it out, and that pretty much ruined its chances of beating Michael here. Greninja comes in, uses Water Shuriken, gets 3 hits, Charizard's gone, and now he can't really do anything to Rillaboom. Yeah, even if he got all his hits or used a stronger move on Greninja, Rillaboom just would have been able to take him out, so Michael wins the battle. And I'm not really keeping track of score here, but Razor in chat says 2-1, so I'm guessing Michael is in the lead. 2 points to Trico's 1. So yeah, so far, Trico's on the back foot, it's not looking good. Let's move on to the 4th battle. In the 4th battle, we have Just Beast versus Guy with Glasses. Once again, we have another Rain team. This one has Pangoro on it for some reason. And there's Guy here with an all-female team, I guess. So if you remember from last video, Guy actually was going to win his match, but due to a couple of blunders, he just sacked Scizor and lost almost immediately. Will he be able to redeem himself here? Dude got 6-0'd by Pangoro. 5th battle, we have this guy versus Trico. And looking at it, we have a Sun team this time. How different. Anyways, let's get into this. Latios lead in Landorus. He switches to Ferrothorn. Why does he use Ice Beam? He uses Aura Sphere. That was to predict the Ferrothorn switch. It doesn't do more than half though, so he just switches out. That was a critical hit in Sun. That's not good. He's gonna use Recover here. He's just gonna switch out. Heatran comes in, and then Landorus comes in. I think that was to make him use Earthquake. It doesn't work though. He goes for Rapid Spin, getting rid of those rocks. Clefable just takes that flip turn like it was nothing. Oh, we use this trick on Venusaur, causing it to lose its Life Orb and giving it to Clefable. I think if Clefable has Magic Guard, Life Orb is really good for it, because it doesn't take recoil from it. He's setting up Latias. That's not good for this guy. Yeah, Stored Power just takes care of Excadrill. And I'm pretty sure, unless he has some Sucker Punch or fast Pokemon, I think Infernape was that fast Pokemon. Latias comes in on Torkoal. Infernape comes out though. He sets up Substitute though, so he can take one hit, and he switches to Latios. Clefable's setting up right now. It only has one attack in Moonblast. It's doing enough to where it can 2-hit KO, or 1-hit KO Venusaur since it had Sticky Bar. Use Close Combat on Clefable, predicting the Heat Trance switch in. Very nice. So far, it's already looking like a bit of anyone's game, as he still has Infernape and Latios on his side. Latios is full on attacks minus Roost. Well, this guy here is just roosting and setting up, trying to make sure he gets enough stored power to just sweep the rest of their team. So now we're up 2.5 on stats. It's not looking good for this guy here. I'm not pronouncing that name again. He certainly is trying his hardest to figure something out here. But Latias starts attacking. Tapu Fini just tanks it, dies. Infernape switches out, causing Latias to use Substitute again. Ice Beam doesn't do a whole lot since his special attack is now on an absurd level. He's now down to Torkoal, and Infernape uses U-turn, brings in Torkoal. He doesn't have a chance at this point. Latias can just attack. He uses Substitute. Latias can just attack at some point and take out both Torkoal and Infernape. Even if he's not able to take out... Well, no. Infernape can probably take out Clefable and Landorus if it's given the chance, especially in Sun. So he takes out Torkoal. He still has Substitute up, and I believe that's just the end of the battle here. Yep. That's it. Looking at chat here, this actually was before the last battle. I seem to have made that mistake on accident when I brought all the teams into the tabs. Sorry, brought all the battles into the tabs. But regardless, I do think it is 3-2 for Trico now. So now Michael's on the back foot. He needs to start trying to win matches. We can only hope that he wins the next two. No, the next match. That was already 5 of 6 battles. If he wins the next match, they go into tiebreaker, so they really gotta try. Match 6, and this is the last match on their side of the bracket. We've got Golf Tees, the guy who beat me last week, and Shadow Time, the guy who beat the counter teamer last week. Over here, the dude has Slurpuff. Is that going to be good? We're about to find out. Let's get into this. I'm pretty sure Golf Tees is on Trico's team, so if he wins this, then Trico moves on to finals. But if Shadow Time wins this, they go into tiebreaker, and maybe Michael can win. Gengar takes out Slurpuff, not before it sets up Sticky Web. He actually uses Destiny Bond on Yveltal, causing it to go down with it. Incredibly smart play, I think. I say incredibly smart. It was a smart play in general. Being able to take out Yveltal means that his more sweeper Pokemon, like Calyrex, aren't absolutely walled by it. Xerneas takes Sunsteel Strike, which is pretty cool, but it's not enough. He dies to it. Gengar almost dies to Sunsteel Strike, but it's just not enough. So Yveltal comes in. Gengar uses Substitute. He actually uses Encore on Yveltal. They both have different strategies for dealing with this Pokemon. That's pretty incredible. After a few turns, Yveltal goes out, and he brings in Darmanitan. Uses U-turn. It's not enough to kill it, so he switches in Groudon. Sorry, it's not enough to break that Substitute. Groudon just needs to get rid of that Substitute so he can break through it and I believe Calyrex can just sweep here if it's scarfed. He goes for Side Shock, not knowing if this was Arceus the Extreme Killer. It turns out it is... He actually uses a Z move, Psychium Z, to take that out in one go. That was a pretty interesting play, but it worked out in the end, and he managed to take out Enamorus the next turn. I was pretty confident in this battle, thinking Golf Tees would win against Shadow Time. Last week, Shadow Time used a Trick Room team, which was interesting. Clever play, but Golf Tees is just on a different level, unfortunately. So that means that Trico wins 4-2 on Michael, and Michael's now knocked down into the losers bracket for week 3.
Now, before we get into the second half of the week 2 games, I'd like to quickly take an intermission to talk about some recent developments in the UU ladder. So, as you know, in UU, both Drizzle and Drought are banned, leading to Sun and Rain teams basically not existing in the ladder. Well, I recently came across a stunning revelation. The Damp and Heat Rocks were not banned as well, and nobody knew this. At the time, everyone knows now. Now on their own, this doesn't mean a whole lot, as all they do is increase the duration of the weather they're associated with. But, they also work with the moves Rain Dance and Sunny Day. So I figured if I could find a Pokemon that would allow me to set it up, I could theoretically reintroduce the Tear to Rain. Prankster allows the user to have priority when using a status move, so any Prankster Pokemon could work, but 2 in particular were interesting: Volbeat and Illumise. Yeah, while Grimmsnarl had better offenses, the Beetles had better bulk, and had access to Roost and U-Turn as well as a variety of utility moves: Encore, Thunder Wave, Aromatherapy, Wish, Trick, you name it. And yeah, people were reasonably concerned, as Rain turned Barraskewda into something almost nothing in the tier could switch into, and Sun turned Charizard special attack into an over 700 base power behemoth. I'm not sure how long weather will stay relevant in UU, because either A, the mods get rid of the stones, killing it for good, or B, people will build teams to counter weather. Third option, of course, is that everyone starts using weather, in which case I may have doomed UU. Anyways, intermission over. Let's go see what's going on in the losers bracket.
Alright, here we are back in the tournament, and what we've got here is the first battle of the second half of the brackets. Here we've got Gladiator Kraken versus Orbuznik, and by the looks of it, Orbuznik is using a Rain team as well, so I believe that's the third Rain team we've seen so far. In fact, I kind of find it a bit eerie how Kingler and Kyurem were both used in the first battle against the Rain team. I hope it won't end out like it did in that first battle, where the Rain team lost. Either way, we should probably get into this. So starting off, of course, Pelipper has to go in first, Kyurem goes in first. It's eerily similar to what happened in that last battle, even Substitute going up. Okay, this is a bit eerie. I'm reading the chat as it passes by, and yeah, Razor Gliscor has a fair point. So far, things aren't looking too bad. Hawlucha, however, comes out and uses Sword Stance. Now, it has the ability Unburden. At least I assume it has Unburden here. What it does is that when it loses its item, it actually has its speed doubled, making it faster than most Pokemon in the metagame, and being able to do a massive amount of damage as a result. We have a couple plays going on here. Tapu Lele decided to go Focus Blast on Hoxapex, predicting the Ferrothorn switch. Orbuznik just switches in Pelipper though, so it doesn't do a whole lot. Kingler comes in, tries to take out Pelipper with Crabhammer, doesn't work though, so Swampert comes out. Switches in Landorus. Swampert, I believe, goes for, yep, there's the Earthquake. It's looking a bit less careful on Gladiator Kraken's side compared to, I believe it was Razor in that first battle. Kingler gets taken out by Hydro Pump on Greninja, an insane amount of damage, and it evolves into Battle Bond, or Ash Greninja. It takes out Kyurem with it. That's 2 Pokemon down so far. Greninja is just destroying. He switches to Pelipper, and Tapu Lele goes for Focus Blast again, probably predicting Ferrothorn switch again. Or maybe just wanted to take out the Greninja. Either way, Pelipper doesn't get hit. It tries scalding this Hawlucha doesn't work though, so Pelipper just goes out. He's really trying for that burn right there in that last Scald. Acrobatics is just dealing a lot of damage to his team, and because it lost its Psychic Seed, his speed is doubled, so he's just going to sweep through the rest of this team. Now, what's interesting is that he actually switches out of Hawlucha here because of Water Shuriken being a priority move. It probably would have taken it out. For the first time, not Toxapex, Tapu Lele thinks that Toxapex will switch in or stay in, and it just Ferrothorn blocks its Psych Shock. Hawlucha comes back out. It no longer has Unburden, so it can't really do anything about its speed. It could probably still take out some of these Pokemon. Toxapex goes away. A quick pause here. You'll notice that Toxapex didn't recover any health between turns, and that's because, for whatever reason, Orbuznik had Merciless Toxapex on it. I believe what Merciless does is it automatically crits moves to Pokemon that are poisoned. Not entirely useful unless you're like running a strange toxic high attack thing. Toxapex has fine special attack, but it's a completely useless ability when you have like Regenerator and Toxapex is bulky. It's just wild. So here we are. He uses Hydro Pump on Hawlucha. Tapu Lele comes in, and for the longest time during this battle, we thought Tapu Lele was actually Scarfed. Turns out it probably was Specs, and Greninja just outspeeds with Hydro Pump, takes it out. Same thing with Weavile, and with that, the battle's over. That means, once again, Infestation Nation finds themselves in the lead. Now, last time that happened, we got like 3 consecutive losses in a row. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. Here we have the second battle. It's 2.3 OU, and by the looks of it, this team really does not like a fighting type. Right, we've got the Slowbro leads. Well, Slowbro, Slowking. Alright, that's like the first time I've seen a Kyurem use Roost. Every Kyurem I've seen so far has had Freeze Dry and Substitute. That's the first time I've seen one Roost. Lopunny comes out. Now check this out. I believe, yeah, he does Encore on Lopunny, forcing Kyurem to use Substitute again, or switch out. Lopunny does Power Up Punch, gets their attack boost, uses Frustration on Slowbro here, and is just blasting through with damage. It gets burnt. That's just unfortunate. I don't think I've seen Malarkey's Kyurem do an attack yet. Lopunny's using Power Up Punch again. Is he gonna Encore? Nope, he's gonna switch out. Moving forward a bit, we have Tapu Fini against Corviknight now. I think he goes for Taunt, preventing him from doing stuff like Defog. Not a whole lot really going on. I think he also has Roost. Malarkey tried to take out Tapu Fini with Freeze Dry. It's not enough damage and gets returned with Moonblast. Landorus is out now. It sets up Stealth Rocks. I'm not really sure why. Probably just to stall some turns, because at this point all there are left are walls. They both are poisoned, and Gloria switches out to Ferrothorn, probably so he can get that extra bit of toxic damage on Landorus here. I think Volcarona just sweeps the rest of the team, because even if it's poisoned, well, he switches in Lopunny, who is burned, which is worse than poison in this situation, I guess. But if he could set up with Volcarona, he pretty much just takes out these last 2 Pokemon. Volcarona comes out, he switches to... Malarkey switches to Corviknight. Volcarona, I think they see that coming for some reason. They use Quiver Dance, takes out the Corviknight. That just leaves Gloria. And they can Toxic, they can do damage, they can slack off, but in the end, toxic damage comes all the same. And that's the end of the second battle. We're now up 2-0, and so far it's looking pretty good for us. We just need 2 more wins to make it an absolute sweep on our side. Game 3, and would you look at that, I'm in it. Once again, it's an Ubers battle, and I'm going against the counter teamer, the leader of the counter teamer's team. Paragon Porygon. I lead Yveltal, he leads Necrozma, he has a switch to an Amoris. I use Dark Hole and I get Sleep. Now, what Dark Hole does is that it has a 40% chance of putting the Pokemon to sleep after the move hits. It has 100 base power, so obviously it's pretty overpowered. I believe it's even being considered for being banned. I use Dark Hole on Groudon, and would you look at that, it falls asleep. As Orbuznik says here, I am just more skilled. He brings in Yveltal, so I have to bring out my Sableye, who just gets absolutely destroyed. I forget that Prankster doesn't work on Dark types, and a quick note about that, that's like the 5th time I've done that consecutively. I've had a ton of Ubers battles, and each time I end up using Toxic on Yveltal and forgetting that Dark types are immune to Prankster. Yeah, that just sucks. I like to think it was a bit of a pivot. Enamorus comes out, they're gonna use Fluor Cannon, and then they're gonna use Earth Power. Yeah. So far, so good. We've got 2 Pokemon down, one of his is asleep, I believe, meaning technically it's a 5v3. The problem is, Calyrex could be Scarfed, it could have a Z Crystal, it could be Sash. I'm not sure, it's very strong regardless. I think I switch in Yveltal here to take an attack. He uses his Z Power, Never Ending Nightmare. It does over half of my health. Crazy damage, but it's not enough. I try to use Dark Hole on it, then Oblivion Wing. I think what he does here is U-turn. Alright, so no Dark Hole for him then. Mind Blown takes out my Yveltal. Delphox is actually really good in Ubers because of its combination of Mind Blown and Magic Guard, as well as Life Orb, just boosting it to insane amounts of power. Astral Barrage is doing a lot of damage, but Yveltal just tanks it and roosts off the damage. Necrozma comes in, dies to a critical Dark Hole. So far it's not looking too good. Enamorus comes in though to use Fluor Cannon, which takes out the Groudon. Well, almost. It almost takes it out. I use Substitute. I think this wins me the battle because Fluor Cannon takes out Groudon, and then he brings in Calyrex, who, after using the Z Crystal, nothing's really going to be protecting him. I use Fluor Cannon. It takes out Yveltal. I'm now +4 special attack. That's right. Your boy has won the 3rd match of the 2nd half of the tournament. Meaning Infestation Nation is now sitting on... He's just substitute spamming. What is he doing? But yeah, after that battle, Infestation Nation is up 3-0. Meaning if we win our next battle, we would have completely swept through the counter-teamer's team. There would be 2 battles that wouldn't even have to be played. It's insane. And speaking of that 4th battle, here we are. Gen 8 OU, we've got 2... What is this? Tornadus Therians. That's perhaps the most notable thing here. Let's just get into it. Right off the bat, you'll notice that Ursaluna is in this. And it is really good in OU so far, as Ursaluna has the ability Guts, an insane physical attack stat, and relatively decent bulk. Plus it gets Headlong Rush, Facade. It's just a perfect storm of power. Magnet Zone comes in and traps Ferrothorn with its Magnet Pull. It's unfortunate, but it happens. I think he uses Hidden Power Fire. Is it enough? No, it's not. Ferrothorn just decides to set up Spikes because he's a dead man anyways. Might as well get something. Medicham comes out. High Jump kicks that Magnezone out of here. And I believe Medicham, in theory, could do well against the rest of his team, but gets taken out by a Hurricane. It's unfortunate. Weavile comes in and takes out Tornadus with Icicle Crash. Greninja comes out to Hydro Pump Weavile. It misses, but hits next turn on Tornadus, who just switches out. Tapu Lele comes in. I believe it's Scarfed, so instead of using Psychic, he uses Moonblast. It's just barely not enough to kill Rillaboom, and I believe with that, it doesn't kill, but it does a whole lot of damage. And without Psychic terrain protecting Tapu Lele from Water Shuriken, I believe it will not be good. That doesn't matter though, because Diancie comes out, however you pronounce it, it comes out and uses Diamond Storm on Landorus, getting a defense boost, which is just devastating for Velcroc because Weavile just cannot do anything to it. It did get a flinch here. Will it get a second? No, it doesn't. We're pretty close to the end. Ursaluna has come out to play, has used Rock Polish, which makes its insane power and bulk just even scarier. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the match. Tapu Lele tries to hit a Focus Blast. It misses like it always does. I assume that's because Velcroc is not subscribed to my channel, because if you don't know, if you subscribe to my channel, you will hit all of your Focus Blasts 100% of the time. Guaranteed. So yeah, we do have our first loss of the tournament, but so what if we lose our full sweep? We can still win this, we just need to win one of the next two battles. Hopefully, at least. We don't want to see a reverse sweep situation. That would be unfortunate. It's the 5th game of the second half of the bracket, and we have Cliffheart, otherwise known as Gold Hunter, versus Primal Ace. It starts off relatively fine. Celesteela gets Leech Seed on Mudsdale. It's not a whole lot, but it's something. Maybe he uses Stealth Rocks. Oh well. Tangrowth comes in and just dies to Fire Blast from Camerupt. Don't know what his plan was there. I think that was him just staying in on... No, he stayed in on the Camerupt. So I'm not sure what his plan was there. Maybe no other Pokemon on his team could take the hit. By the looks of it, that does seem to be the case. Maybe Altaria, but it does get destroyed by Earth Power on Camerupt. Aegislash takes out Tentacruel, so Camerupt comes out to just blast it with, well, Fire Blast. Does 46 to Altaria. Is that enough to take it out on the next turn? We'll see. Well, no, as it uses Roost. 46 is pretty consistent damage. Earth Power, however, does 72, completely ruining that 40 damage, and takes out Altaria on the next turn. Once again, Tapu Bulu has missed Leech Seed. I think Celesteela also missed their Leech Seed. It's just a bit unfortunate that happened. Both the players at this point are playing very careful. Cliffheart wants to make sure that we win this so we don't have to worry about a tiebreaker match or being knocked out of the tournament. Primal Ace is being careful so that they don't get knocked out of the tournament, period. They have high special attack and high speed from setting up with Moltres. Berserk activates from Heavy Slam. And he tries to attack here, but it's just not going to work. He should have had Roost. I don't know if he did. If he did, that was a choke. If not, it was just unfortunate. So Urshifu takes out Kommo-o here. I think what he's going to do is switch in Zarude. Nope, Tapu Bulu. I forgot he had that. So Tapu Bulu comes in. Urshifu tries to switch out to Aegislash. Does he hit Lich Seed? He does. About time, honestly. Well, he did hit Leech Seed on Moltres, now that I think about it. Doesn't matter. He switches to Celery Sticks here, Celesteela, on Aegislash. He's just walling this guy at this point. I'm not sure what he can do to win, because the only Pokemon that he has at this point that can do anything to Celesteela, since Shadow Ball isn't doing much, now it's being hit by Flamethrower. Urshifu could probably take out Celesteela, but I'm just doubtful at this point. Primal Ace is getting destroyed. And yeah, that's it. Zarude comes in and takes out Urshifu, and that's basically the nail that was in the coffin of the Paragon Porygons, as they are now out of the tournament for good. We don't have to worry about them ever again. And that also means Infestation Nation is still in this, baby. We got this. Moving on to finals. Well, not quite, because we still have the week 3 tournament to get through, as we have to now beat Michael at his own game. Now, I think it's pretty reasonable to say that I was pretty excited about winning in this round of the tournament. That, of course, means that we're still in this. I'm still a good YouTuber and Pokemon gamer. But, of course, I handled it with grace and humility. Just kidding, I showboated the heck out of this. Regardless, with week 2 done, I decided to go around to each of the coaches, or at least all the ones who were able to communicate with me so far, and have a short interview to see what they thought about the whole situation so far. Now, going into this, I actually wanted to interview all of the coaches to get their perspectives on the situation, but 2 of the coaches weren't able to respond to me, so I'll just have to add those guys later if they ever do. Until then, these are the first 2 coaches. Also, they both decided to do it through text instead of going in a Discord party. I think that's perfectly fine. Personally, I didn't want to go in a Discord party either, so that works out for me, I guess. So, to make up for this, I'm going to do it myself and give my best impression of them. So, end of week 2, we're halfway through the tournament. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling well. I haven't been close to losing a game yet.
Quite confident we're gonna win this, especially since we've beaten our potential opponents before we get a second chance in case we lose, since we're in winner's bracket.
Gotta have confidence, right?
If you don't think you're gonna win, you've already lost.
Week 3, Michael's team is up against Gold Hunter's team. Who do you think you're gonna be seeing in finals?
I'm betting on Michael's team winning this.
Looking at it, yeah, Michael has a pretty solid team. Infestation Nation has their work cut out for them at least. In week 2, your team lost to Trico's, so now in week 3, you're up against Gold Hunter's team. Any thoughts on that?
We will bounce back. It was a rough week for our team.
Yep, happens to the best of us. So far, has there been a moment or battle that was interesting to you?
Not really. I soured on one guy by clicking Dynamic Punch on them and Flash with my SERP to win the game.
Guy's game with Frozen was sad. And since Guy's Mega Scizor was able to 6-0, but he sacked it instead and ended up losing. Every single team winning the Porygon single down was also funny.
Question 4. Are you subscribed to DieZombie?
I am not. Sorry.
Of course I have. I read a study the other day saying that DieZombie subs have a 100% chance of hitting all of their Focus Blast.
Will it prevent me from getting frozen too?
Perhaps so. Anyways, last question. Anything you wanted to say going into week 3 in finals?
Get set to get decked.
I guess. Hopefully I don't get hacked.
Seems legit. Anyways, that's the end of the week 2 recap. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see some more content like this. And also to keep up with the next week. And yeah, I'll see you next time.